America changed everything. I can't really remember a time when I didn't want to be a writer, but my impulse to write specifically was music from the time I was a tiny kid. And I don't know that I expressed that to other people ever really, but it's a thing that I wanted. So because I didn't have any musical talent really, and I didn't have any instruments to play, I started writing songs without music, ergo poetry. I remember writing poetry or song lyrics in grade school, and I thought that I was doing something important, and what I realize now is that I was gaining experience. I was getting better because I was making lots of mistakes. But one thing that I didn't do, which is a thing that most young writers do, is I didn't read any. This is partially due to the nature of poetry education in America. I just don't think that it's very good. Students are not exposed to a large variety of poetry. It's mostly just dead white guys, and that doesn't necessarily speak to everyone. Furthermore, writing prompts are friggin' terrible. Like, I remember hating Walt Whitman just based on Song of Myself, and not based on his poem, but based on having been forced to write a song of myself based on his poem, which is a terrible assignment. But all of this is to say that I spent the majority of my life up to high school thinking that I liked poetry and I wanted to write poetry, but there was no poetry out there like what I wanted to do. There was nothing that spoke to me, and I didn't really need to read a lot of poetry because it just wasn't for me. Then when I was a senior, I was 17 years old, I guess, myself, several of my friends, and a faculty sponsor created the English Geeks organization, so named because it could be initialized as EGO, which we all had healthy egos in this group. The first novel that we read was Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test, and it's all about the 60s and the Beats and the hippies that were spawned by the Beats, and therefore the faculty sponsor, Mr. Williamson, one meeting read aloud America by Allen Ginsberg, and it gave me chills. I identified really strongly with the poem in a number of ways and on a number of levels, but it doesn't even matter how it spoke to me or the ways in which it spoke to me. It matters that it spoke to me. From the time I heard this poem, I became a huge Allen Ginsberg fan, and that opened the world of poetry to me. I had found poetry that spoke to me, and I would continue to seek that out. I still continue to seek that out. I recognize that there is legitimate poetry designed for an audience like myself, or that finds an audience in people like me. And I think that that's fantastic, but it's something that I would not have realized without having heard America by Allen Ginsberg. So the best thing that I can suggest is just to try to find a lot of poetry and see what is out there, because I think that everyone can be moved by poetry, but it's probably not going to be Robert Frost or Keats or Yeats or any of the dead white guys, potentially. There are a lot of incredible poets out there who will speak to you. You just have to find the thing that's the trigger. So go forth and read poetry. Celebrate this month, if no other time, because it is National Poetry Month, which is great. Do that, and I will see you later.